Good evening, or actually good afternoon. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon in the OC. Yes, it's definitely something to be excited about and to, praise about. And had a wonderful, powerful message at church today. And not only was that message congruent with everything that's been in my spirit of late, but it was also confirmed when I left church, and my son and I stopped into Whole Foods because I had to pick up a couple things because, again, remember, it's warrior mode, deciding to make some things happen. It is time for restoration and renewal, mind, body, and spirit. And the big picture is, the topic, of course, is this pending election, and many people, they're actually even in depressed mode, which is why I said, maybe I need to keep pumping out a lot more light and giving people additional something to be happy and joyous about. Because remember, if you change your mindset, you change your outcomes. And instead of being depressed and crying, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, this political nightmare, I'm going to say something that's going to be controversial, and I don't care. I'm going to say something that you probably are not going to like, and I don't care. But I guarantee you what I say is going to make you think. And the reason why I say that is because for far too long, we have left our destiny, we have left our decisions making, we've left our options in the hands of others. It's really easy to blame other people and say, well, it's their fault because whatever it is. And even in this election climate, if things go really haywire and we have riots and racist outbursts, it's Donald Trump's fault. If we have more abortions and we have all kinds of other lying and stealing and cheating, whatever, it's Hillary Clinton's fault. Well, no, baby, it's your fault. What are you doing to successfully effect change? Far too long, we, as people, as citizens, not only the United States, but as global citizens, have left the decisions and in others' hands of how we act or how we choose to react to a situation. Because it's really easy to blame someone else. And so by default, we say, oh, I'm just voting for someone by default. Well, okay, remember, whatever choice you make, God is still in control. So do you believe God is who he says he is? And whatever is to be revealed with the outcome of this election is going to be telling. And here is your chance to truly rise up and make a difference in the United States, in America, and as a global citizen. So start looking at you. Don't blame Donald Trump. Don't blame Hillary Clinton. Blame yourself. What have you done to volunteer in your community? What have you done to uplift someone else? What have you done to grow yourself? What have you done to add value? You, not Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Yes, they're elected officials like many others, but they're not the only ones at fault. Do you honestly think that all of this hatred and division and racial profiling just began? No, it didn't. So why are you so upset now? What have you done in the last 150, 5 years, last year, to show that you support change and a better America for everybody? What have you done? Janet Jackson, you say, what have you done for me lately? Well, really, what have you done? Stop blaming what's going on in America on everybody but yourself. Yes, I said it. Stop blaming everything on somebody else and start looking at you. So this is the first time you decide to vote in 10, 15 years, and you've been an eligible voter since you were 18? Okay, are you looking at the basic propositions and the laws and again, everything that's really truly makes up what governs us as citizens? How have you tied into that to positively affect change? So, the only thing Donald Trump's running for office has shown is truly what exists in the bowels and in the hearts and the minds of many of the American people. Remember what this nation was founded on. You can't forget that. Foundation is critical. Foundation is important. Foundation, you can't get away. You can't plant a seed in rotten soil and expect, and I don't mean fertilizer, I'm talking about rotten, poor soil, and expect an edible plant, expect a vibrant plant. So let's look at the nation and let's look at our roots and stop being in denial of what it has been and what it was. It doesn't mean that's who we are as a totality, but stop thinking that America, the beautiful America the Great, was really always so great. Lynching has been existed in America since, before the Civil War. And since Reconstruction. During the Civil Rights Movement. During busing. It's never ended. So, where and when did Donald Trump cause all this melee? What it really reflects and shows is that this has been the festering wounds that has been, a Band-Aid was placed over it. And so we were allowed to ignore and believe, especially with us electing the first African-American president, Barack Obama, that everything was all right in the world. No, I have never in my life seen anyone disrespect a president and a first lady and their family like I have since Obama's been in office. And I'm not talking about the ignorant person on the street. I'm talking about your elected officials. I'm talking about your neighbors. I'm talking about the people that you work with, your bosses, your CEOs, your public officials. Disrespecting the commander-in-chief in your face. And you might have laughed and giggled and chuckled a tad bit. Or you might have ignored it. So again, don't blame all of this ruckus on Donald Trump. Look at yourself. What have you done? And if he truly, truly did not have an audience, he wouldn't have got this far. So everyone continues to say, oh my gosh, horrible. I can't believe it. This is who's voting for him. Well, how does he continue to still break those barriers, break those bounds? Maybe you want to think about that. So people are taking their mask off and they're really showing what's really been there underneath. We need to go back and look at the roots and the soil and go back and feed that. And that starts with education. That starts with our children. That starts with you. So when someone makes an off-color joke or racist joke about anybody, Jews, Gentiles, Asians, whomever else, are you snickering and you're laughing? And promulgating this behavior? Or are you saying, you know what, that's not really appropriate? People should feel uncomfortable to say horrible things about anybody in your presence. It's not a joke. Okay? My mom used to always say, you know, when someone makes a comment, be very careful. She said, drunk people, angry people, and jokesters tell you a lot. Someone will, quote unquote, keep joking, but you notice that their jokes continue to be the same. My mom said maybe the first time it might have been a joke or it's a test. That second and third times, it's not a joke, it's their reality. That's how they perceive you. That's how they perceive things about you, whether it's a cultural difference, it's a racial difference, it's a gender difference. So those things can't be easily hidden anymore. And so I'm getting ready to say it. Some of y'all gonna get upset, and I don't care. I'm glad Donald Trump decided to run for office because he has exposed the very ugliest truth about America that has existed since the dawn of America. This isn't new. Trust me, I know. I was a history teacher and a classic history buff. This isn't new. The exploitation of people, the dehumanizing of a whole entire culture, none of it's new. So if you're mad, good, get mad. But you know what? Don't just get mad. Do something. Do something. It doesn't matter what your political inclinations are. Because at the end of the day, when all of this comes to light, guess what? There's still room for you to make a change. There's still an opportunity for you to become involved and start locally. You don't have to go and hit the global front initially. Start locally. Are you talking to your assemblymen, your congressmen, your mayors, your senators? Are you actively involved in your community? So before you sit back and blame somebody else for the status quo that's in America, good, bad, and different. See, you want to celebrate when we're doing great. But are you going to roll your sleeves up, flip up your pant legs, and jump in the trenches now that it matters? Because I guarantee you, whatever the outcome of this election, whoever is elected, I guarantee you there has never before been a time such as this where we all are needed to step in and step up and stop letting someone else decide who we are, what we think, and how we are, because we're too tired, too distracted to care. More people tune in to the NBA Finals, the World Series, the World Cup, than they do to the very things that truly impact their lives on a day-to-day basis. So, that's all I have to say. I just needed to get that out, because the more I continue to hear people lament and, oh my gosh, and I'm going to go into this depression, and people are literally stressed out and depressed. Well, what they should do is be activated. Don't sit down. This is time for you to stand up, baby. Stand up and do something. That's all I have to say on this Sunday afternoon Divalogues. So my point to you is, don't just talk. Don't just be about it. Do something about it. The time is now for change. So what are you going to do about it? Later.